Good afternoon, Trike fans, and I appreciate everybody and the new subscribers I'm having. I just want to thank everybody for watching and participating. It's nice to see that people are now finally seeing the work, and I hope that the improvement in the quality of the art that I'm putting out is more enjoyable for you as a viewer. I'm getting better at making the films. I hope you guys see the difference. I hope you stick with me. I'm getting more organized too, and I'm working on that to where I can get one expedition per week and then sit in the studio for the other times because it gets a little hectic. Anyway, getting back to what I wanted to discuss today, I'm going to do a review of the equipment that I use in the field in terms of the Spyder Drone Air Corp. This is the element of the Trikes Travel and Tagabouchi YouTube site where I recover aerial photography. And before you conduct on that or go into any field mission, anybody that's worked in aviation, flown, taken ground school, been in a tower, anything along that line, number one, it's like this. How do they put it in Texas? Well, in Texas, you say church comes first on Sunday, but football's number two. We all know what that means. But in the aviation field, there's only one, and that is three letters: the FAA. They own you. You want to get into this craft, you can fly. So that's what this is all about. Not the movie, but I'm taking a moment to just give you guys a peek inside behind the sticks, if you will, and see what we deal with. Then I'm going to start that with introducing you to the aircraft that I fly and why I've chosen them and so on and so forth. To give you a brief rundown, I started flying with a copter that I got off Walmart for $135, very basic. I'm not going to trash it, but it was old tech, sold at a discount store by a company that doesn't care if they're just milling stuff out of their warehouses. And that's exactly the experience that I got. The craft didn't last 3 weeks. I've got the old movies out there. I'm going to remove them this week because they're that bad. The video quality was horrible. But I learned a lot about if you're going to get into and be serious, and this applies to anything. My Can-Am is a rolling example of that. If you're going to enjoy an experience, you need to be prepared to invest in it. And so that's the decision that I learned from that craft, and it changed my life. It led me down a road to where I decided, okay, if I'm going to get into high-end droning, then let's take one home under a basis where it can be returned, and let's lease it. And I went into a 90-day lease on my first DJI craft, the R2S, and it's a professional level remote control to see if that's the direction I wanted to take. And I had it on lease for 3 months and went to return it. And we're going from there. This video is to introduce you to each one, talk about their advantages over the disadvantages, how I mesh them into my filming projects, and why I need three. So it has to do with applications and usages and things along that line. But before I go into too much stuff to bore you with that, this is also aimed at to help people that are in the market of looking at, gee, what should I get? You know, if you're not in an issue where, I can only, if you're not restricted to a budget and you want to look at a complete array of the DJI product line for its prosumers, this is it. So I'm introducing you to the R2S, the Air 2, or excuse me, the Mini 2. Let me start that over. The craft that will be reviewed here today, starting from lowest in the tree, if you will, to higher up, is we were going to start on the DJI Mini 2. Then we're going to move up to the DJI Mini 3 Pro. And then we're going to lastly move up to the Mavic Air 2S, which is the flagship of my operation. That is the one that requires licensing, and until that's done, unfortunately, it sits in the bag. But welcome to Trikes Travel and Tagabouchi, and thanks for watching. And this is my first real delve into setting up. I've been throwing out all these movies about, oh, look at here, look at here, look at here, but I haven't gone into the operations, and that stuff's pretty cool too. So I hope you enjoy, and please, if you enjoy the material, please reflect that on YouTube as well, because it helps me along as well. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a nice day. Peace. I'm going to start out by just giving you a breakdown of my equipment. Right now, these are my two primary crafts because they are sub 249 gram in weight. They're not restricted. They do not need to be registered. I do have them registered. I'm compliant, blah, blah, blah. But these are, everything I fly in the shop is DJI. And starting left to right in this scan, we have the DJI Mini 2. I do have the Fly More kit, so I do have available to me the 3 batteries, and I use the RC N1 remote with the cell phone that I'm currently using to record this film. I use an S9. You need to make sure when you're using DJI products that you have a phone, or if you're looking at purchasing one, make sure you have a phone that is 64-bit in terms of its architecture. So you can't go down to the dollar store and pick up a $60 phone and expect to fly a DJI drone. It ain't going to happen. Most of your cheap drone or cheap cameras and phones, I should say, are 32-bit architecture. So you need to put a little bit of money down and get into your higher level Samsung, Apple, that type of thing. Not only for that reason, but in terms of quality of image, you get a much brighter nit rating. Nit rating is your brightness on your display. And when you're out in a sunny day in the field trying to fly a drone and you're freaked out because you lost line of sight to it and you want to get it home, you're relying on that cell phone to get you what you need. Apologize for that. That's the difficulty of having a semi-outdoor studio, is you have to kind of adjust for traffic. Starting back with the drones left to right, this is the DJI Mini 2. I call this one Precious, and he comes with 3 batteries. They give me roughly, they say 35 minutes of flight time. I get about 25 minutes, but I fly in much warmer conditions. It's quite windy here, so those types of factors will reduce your battery life. But they are fast charging batteries, and with 3 of them, I'm telling you, that is a lot of flight. I can generally go to like multiple locations on one day, on a day's worth of charge with all 3 batteries, and still have plenty of battery left over to do, mood shots or whatever in the evening. The 3 batteries are plenty to run the drone all day. There's no battery in it right now. I have to go through the charge process as part of my preparation. More on that later. This craft is 249 grams. It uses a 4K 30 feet per second camera, but when you break down into 2.7 in your lower resolutions, they give you the expanded tree of the feet per seconds. I believe it is a 50 bit rate camera, but it's a very nice camera. One thing that you can count on with DJI drones, they give you the best of what you can get for the money that you're going to spend in it. And for your money, even the one down below this class, the SE, is still a very capable craft, and you can get flying in a Fly More kit for under $400 if you catch the right sale. And that's pretty impressive for the technology that's involved with these. So this has been my main craft of choice lately, because I not only use the software that comes with DJI, known as DJI Fly, but I also use another software that's known as, I call it Litchi, but or Lychee. It's actually the lychee fruit. It's named after that, Litchi. And I've heard it in several Chinese market being called lychee, so I don't know why everybody tries to call it lychee and 10 ways to Sunday. I don't call it late for supper. I rely on it for follow-me's. I rely on it for waypoints. I rely on it to be able to go to a known location that's in my line of sight and say, if I'm out in the field and I run into a washout area, but I can still see the rock with the petroglyphs ahead of it in front of me, and I know where that information's at, I can go to Google Earth, map in, set waypoints remotely, and get that mission before I even go into the field and preload it. All I do is hit launch, start the mission, and it's done. It goes, flies it, and the things that I can do with that software, DJI used to keep available to it, but honestly, when you're looking at 249 gram class, you got to start sacrificing weight, hardware, all that other stuff. Cooling becomes a factor. So they started sacrificing features, and they were streamlining. So Your older DJI crafts, like your Phantoms and the Sparks and things like that, will have like 12 of these intelligent features and this whole branch of menu items. This comes with 4, basically. But with Litchi, I now get this range of waypoints, and the other options that we lost on the older craft come back to the Mini 2 now. The big one for me is I love doing rolling shots of me on Charlotte going down the road. And so I've been experimenting with Litchi on that, and it's been doing fantastic. I'm limited to about 16 miles an hour so far, unless it's a still day. Enough on that. But if you're interested in bringing in droning, I do highly recommend that. Don't think that the next craft that I show you is the better of the craft. The next craft that I show you has a more defined purpose. Both of these craft are incredibly capable. Both of them are fun to fly, easy to learn, and just the video returns, they really do give you a professional level of image you just don't get on the cheaper crafts. When you got break down to a $300 level or things like that, you sacrifice the details and so on and so forth, and you can make up for it for some settings, but it's just the overall build quality and image quality that comes with the DJI. They're really second to none, except for like Autel and some of the other more established brands. Autel Robotics is a very good brand as well. I just prefer to go with DJI because it fits into my budget better. I'm going to take a brief pause and we'll go from there, and we'll talk about the next Mini sitting here on the table next. Howdy everybody, I'm sure you noticed I've got my makeshift bench set up above. I use this old TV stand. They really work great in the shop because where we used to store all of the fat tube TVs, I can use that 3D space, and my helmet store there, my toolboxes and everything just fits in that space very nicely. I digress. Welcome back, and I'm here to talk about the next tool in my toolkit. This is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. He is the newest craft in our fleet, and I bought this. It's a complicated story as a result of some testing I did on another craft in my fleet, but through magic, so on and so forth, and just a weird set of circumstances, I basically wound up with 3 DJI aircraft for the price of 1.5 of them. So, and I'm quite happy, but I do have to do some work to earn it. I don't mind. I digress. Again, I apologize. Let's go back. This is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. This is the newest of the DJIs in the quadcopter line, other than what they call the Avata, A-V-A-T-A. That is an FPV craft, and it's also a craft that is going through some horrifically unanticipated issues considering who makes it. But while it's fast and fun to fly and so on and so forth, that craft has been falling out of the sky, and it's not being recommended by anybody. Pause. I apologize for that break. This is a busy street. It's way more busy than it should be, and I don't really care to go into why. Anyway, back to the DJI Mini 3. It is a very capable craft. This is basically, what DJI did was they took and they explored, and they've been working on a craft at the Air 2, the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic Air 2S. The Mavic Air 2S is sitting over here, and this comes with this monster camera, does all these neat features, and it has a feature in it called Mastershots. Mastershots is really nice because you can go out to a location, basically get the craft born, look at what you want to fly, hit a button, maybe set 2 or 3 parameters for certain functions, and just sit there and hit play or record, and you get these wonderful 2-minute movie sets, those ones with the sweeping arcs and the flashing music and all that, and I've only started to touch into that on Mastershots. Mastershots before was only available on the Mavic Air 2, maybe the Mavic 3, the Inspire I think had it, some of the higher classed ones, but on the prosumer line like in these, they were not available on the Mini 2, that's for sure. The Mastershots has now been brought to the 249 subclass, and it is a hit. I mean, this is a wonderful concept to bring to this guy because of the way that they've also designed the aircraft. This aircraft is slightly more capable. You'll notice it's bigger, it's got a larger prop, it's faster, it's got higher speeds, It responds. It's very agile in the air and very responsive in the controls. You also note both craft use the same remote. They do. You can fly, on the RC N1, you can fly, that craft flies anything with Ocusync 2. This guy has Ocusync 2 or Ocusync 3. This guy has Ocusync 3. So here I can also fly. Now this craft comes with Ocusync 3. He had and came with an RCN1, but I have the RC Pro. More on that later. But that is a remote where I can actually fly 2 models of my craft and get away with it. But on a limited basis, though. So, with the Mini 3, I've got Mastershots that brought into the scope. It's also got a 4K 60 camera. The 4K 60 camera is also set up on a new type of gimbal that DJI is using in this particular craft. And it gives it the ability to turn, if you will. I'm just turning the craft to show you. But the camera can go directly vertical in its rest. And it can also tilt almost a full 180 degrees up and down because of the way that it's set into that cradle and the way they redesigned the 3-axis gimbal. So it's got huge range. It can do instant, it can share, you can post directly out to YouTube on it, that kind of thing, and Instagram because it'll go to the vertical aspect. It's also TikTok capable with that. It automatically takes care of all of that. It comes with templates, it comes with Mastershots, it's got the 4 intelligent features, and Litchi Software, being that the great people that they are currently working on software for it, but they don't have the SDK kit for it available. Those of us that have worked in development know exactly what that means. And they're working on that as well. But this is very much more advanced craft than the Mini 2. The Mini 2, however, is still a very capable craft that can fly 6 kilometers out, way beyond your line of sight range that you're expected to use in the US, and do anything that you need it to do from 4K 30 feet per second, this fellow, all the way down. And a 2.7, it does slow-mo. I mean, it is one heck of a camera in there, and that's why it sits at $500, is you really got to get into it. I have yet to scratch the surface on what this does. The advice that I have on this and the Litchi software is, if I need to do cinematography shots, I'm terrible with that word. I can type it barely. But if I need to do that high level quality of shots, I do tend to prefer to use the DJI Fly software. It's still bound to that software. It's still viable. It just doesn't provide me with follow me or waypoints. But everything else I do directly in Fly. Fly controls the craft better. I'm sorry, it flies smoother on it, and your zooms lay out on the screen. So for you to do a zoom in Litchi, it's only on your function wheel while holding a C2 key, and it can be a little difficult out there. I prefer to have it on the touch screen as well. I'm getting used to that and adjusting to the function buttons, but I would rather have it seeable and doable on the screen in a layout format so other users besides myself know how to use it. But other than that, if I use follow me and waypoints and want to map out something or do something distant out, that kind of thing, this is the craft I use with Litchi software or Litchi software. Again, I'm still deciding which one to use. And we stay with that. It's also, like I said, we get an hour and a half in the air, and that is a lot of film for anybody. This Mini is used where I'm going to be tracking subjects like people. The active track is a very good quality active track on this one, and it's just a more capable craft in the wind. It has better applications with that. And anybody with a vehicle down on this side of town has to drive on Payson Street today. I apologize for the brakes. So that's enough on the Minis. We're moving on to the Air 2S. The Air 2S is, this was the first DJI craft I bought. I bought the Fly More kit. I also purchased it with the RC Pro. I've had this craft for about 6 months. I got it on a lease arrangement, and it was intended to go back. I agreed to lease this for 90 days, and at the time where I completed the lease, I contacted the leasing company and said, I've given you this amount of money, but for me to purchase it in the contract and with the emails I was getting as I approached my end of lease, they wanted like $4,500. cash. So I pleasantly said, no, I'll return it. So long story short, the leasing company calls back and says, we've never had anybody return one. You know, a lease is a lease. That means I should be able to return it. The intent of this craft was for me to buy something or have access to something that was reliable so I could learn the skills of piloting, not having to do with crap falling out of the sky, having some obstacle avoidance, having some safety features, and having good, long, intelligent equipment and powerful batteries to do the jobs. And you take to this craft like a duck in water. It is an amazing system. This craft is around $1,300 on the market right now, just for the craft alone with the standard RC1 controller and one battery. That's around $1,200 to $1,300 by the price check I did last night. The remote that I'm currently using is the DJI RC Pro. This is not the same remote that comes in the Mini 3 Pro package. Now, the Mini 3 Pro package does have a screen built-in intelligent remote control like this that basically is a cell phone without a cell. You can't call to it. They have variants on both, but the variant that comes with the Mini line, while it can fly the Mavic 3, it does not have the range, nor does it have the capability or the processing that this RC Pro does. When I purchased this, this was not a cheap RC. This sells now for $1,300 brand new at Adorama. When your batteries come in, these are intelligent batteries with the charging system. They run about $159 a piece. So all in all, this was an option to where it needed to be leased and returned. And when I went to return it, they said it's never been returned before. You know, what do we do? Most of the commercial guys keep it or pay it off within the 90 days. So in the arrangements to return it, they offered me a sellback price, $300. Yeah, so I paid, basically with my lease payments, I paid just under $1,000 for $2,400 in equipment, and it's on my desk permanently now, or it will be as of payday, because that payment is going out this payday. But this is a high power, high capability craft. It's got super intelligence. It has a camera on it that's out of this world. It's one of the leading cameras that's in the DJI line right now. The only thing better on it is the Mavic 3. They have the Hasselblad brands, and then of course they've got the commercial specialties. But this brand of camera that is on the Air 2S will do 5.4K 30 feet per second video and photos at that size as well. It does managed and professionally edited photos in the air. 48 megapixels is its capability on the photo side. And it comes with a set of filter screens. It is very much this is what you would be as terms of starting to get into the cinematographic type of camera that you need to conduct high quality movies. This is one of the highest in the prosumer line. That's a professional consumer combination line. It does come with three-way obstacle avoidance. You can see the up and forward, and it also has downward obstacle detection. But it does not do side to side. There are no sensors on the side. The craft flies for about I get about 35 to 40 minutes out of it. It's actually pretty close to the quoted standards. It's quite powerful. It works very well in high wind. And the camera breaks down to, this camera is literally, I've been working with this craft for about 6 months. I'm just not even scratching the surface on what this camera is capable of doing. It has Mastershots, the 4 droney selfie intelligent options that they offer in the limited line, plus the Mastershots. But again, this also suffers from the same drawbacks that these two small craft do. You don't get those 12 missing features like like you did in the earlier lines, like the Phantoms and so on and so forth. You only get the 4: droney, rocket, asteroid, and something else, but a helix. And they're really cool modes. I really like Asteroid as well because it takes you to that 3D look with the round planet kind of thing. I don't even know what to call it. I'm not new to this. But this is, you can see a marked difference between this camera and this camera. You can see the difference. This thing shoots at 4K 30, And I run this at, honestly, most of the time I run it at 2.7K 60, and I go with a smaller image at a faster frame rate. And this has some absolutely stunning images. It has to do with the fact that look at the size of the sensor on it. And the R2, excuse me, the RC Pro, the DJI RC Pro, this is a walking computer. You can see the storage on there. I've got about just under 200 gigs of storage on it. The processor speed's incredibly fast. It does have 8K range, and it's very reliable at that 8K range. It does have antennas where the RC that comes with the Mini 3 Pro, its screen version, does not have the antennas. They have kits out for that now, but this is fully changeable, modifiable. It's got several function buttons, all that, but the key thing is the automated programming that's into it, and the level of when I take footage in the field. Okay, let me start over. When I take footage in the field, I pull the SD cards out of the crafts, or I transfer to my phone, and then I have to go, and then I eventually have to transfer to the computer, and then that gets transferred into NCH software. It's called VideoPad, and once it's in VideoPad, then I can start editing. Here I fly it, I park it, I sit down on a rock, and I edit it, and I can post it right to Facebook. I eliminate like 40 steps in the editing process, and that thing has the power and craftability and sound to provide me with a simulated, in-studio experience to allow me to sit out there on a rock and do editing in the field right on the spot. And I'll be doing more, basically what I call in-time drops. I can even also very handily control YouTube-type transactions on this with the processing power. And especially on the Wi-Fi connections, it does not have cell phone capability, so I can't go that far out. But on my cell phone, I can set hotspots, so I'm covered. So this is a very capable craft. Again, you get about 2 hours of flight time on it. It's a wonderful item to have, but it's a lot of money. If you're interested in getting into it, I would start with the Mini 2. That's my recommendation. And then the one under it is also the Mini SE. I just am more of a photo bug than most beginners are to flying. But with the SE, you get basically the identical frame, identical battery pack. In fact, the batteries with the SEs work with the Mini 2. But you only get a 2.7 camera with limited programming features. And it really is just the standard edition of their drone. That's what SE stands for. So that's all I have on the crafts for themselves. And my next piece of footage here, I'm just going to be breaking down the cameras and going through my maintenance items that I do to get ready for the field. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.